Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to another episode of Transformative Conversations with Sameon. And I am Sameon, leader and founder of One Transformation Center. One Transformation Center is the sponsor of our segment, of our show. If you're not aware of One Transformation Center, go to all the social media locations and check us out. Go to YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram to get more information on who we are. Hey, how you doing? Of who we are. As we're here to support you, we're celebrating humanity and support you by inspiring, motivating, and healing lives and relationships across the globe. When I mean across the globe, I mean across the globe. And at the same time, it is our space not to change you, but to inform you so that you can be the best and highest version of who you are. That's our goal. That's our ambition. So we thank you for tuning in. We have a wonderful conversation for you today. I hope you're ready. Because there's some things that are going on around us right now. Some of us are feeling overly tired, feeling like there's not enough time in the day. We're feeling like things are just passing us by. I mean, let's be honest. Have you noticed that time has sped up? Have you noticed that the degrees of separation between people, cultures, communities, genders has increased? I put a phenomenal article out about this a couple of days ago. You can go to the social media, the One Transformation Center page, and check that out. But today we're going to have a discussion. We're going to have a discussion that's based upon dimensions, based on level of consciousness. Based upon our level of consciousness, where are we? We're going to talk about paradigm shifts and what does that mean? We're going to talk about and how we're experiencing paradigm shifts. How's it affecting us? Also on an individual and collective space. So good people, let's discuss this. In addition, we're also going to discuss the different levels of consciousness and get a real understanding of where we are and make the decision if that's where we really want to be at. We'll also talk about dimensions, because I'm sure you have heard about these different types of dimensions. You've heard about third dimension, fifth dimensions. What does that mean? How does that apply to us? And then where do we collectively stand, and where do we as individuals stand in that collective space? Because there's a such thing called group thought, right? There's a such thing called group thought. Just look around you. You have cliques, you have circles that connect because of the way of their similarities, of the commonalities. That's group thought. And these are pushing the narratives of our society. So how can we be a part of the positive push, the affirmative push? We're going to talk about it. And I'm going to invite you to come on and share some examples, some experiences. But before we get into that deep part of the conversation, I want to open up the room right quick. Do something different. I'm going to open up the room right quick. Because there's a young lady who I spoke with yesterday. And I want her to come on and share with an experience she just had that ties in directly with this conversation. So I'm going to drop the link. See if I can find where I'm dropping it at. In the comments. Here we go. I'm going to drop the link right here. Just click on it. You don't have to show your face. And we're going to have this conversation. All right? This is our show. This is our time. This is an opportunity for us to come together and just communicate. For those who aren't aware of who I am, let me give you a little bit of information who I am. Just a little bit. Told you that I am the founder of One Transformation Center. But let's get a little deeper into that, if you don't mind. Let's get a little deeper into that. Who is Sameon? Who is Sameon? Let's find out. Let's discover. Oops. Feedback here. Feedback. Give me a second. I'm playing with my tablet at the same time we're having this conversation. Ooh, won't let me do what I need to do. Let's stop that. Did it work? How about now? Oh, that's so much better. Okay. So who is Sameon? Well, I'm a coach. Well, I've been a coach and I've spoken. I'm a transformation leader. Been a transformation leader for a long time. And I'm widely popular and well respected, right? But I spread a message. I lead with spreading a message, a destiny-changing message of self reinvention through one-on-one sessions and group dynamic sessions. And through my years of personal life experiences, I've pulled from a treasure trove full of pearls of wisdom that's allowed me to dedicate my life to sharing with the world. So in the course of this one-on-one broadcast, or whether it's addressing a broad range of topics and from how to permanently overcome racism and victimization to the process of healing, dealing with internal and external conflict, balancing our powerful internal energies, learning to truly love ourselves even after experiencing extremely painful and abusive life encounters. So I'm just here to be a service to the people. That's who I am. That's all I am. That's all I am. I'm here to love all you. So yeah, if you're in the chat, come on up, young lady, Ebony. Yeah, I called you out. You don't have to show your face. Just come up. I want you to share that story with those of us who are listening, whether live or on the replay. Share that story with us. I believe it'll be truly a blessing to us, especially in regards to our conversation tonight. If not, I'm just going to go ahead and get into it. Go ahead and get into it. So let's talk about this paradigm shift. Let's talk about this paradigm shift. Are you familiar with what a paradigm shift is, people? You've been experiencing it. Don't even know it, do you? It's been something that's happening all around you and within you the entire time. Yet, okay, she says she's backstage. I don't see her. I don't see anyone. Someone said they're backstage. I don't see anyone backstage. So you want to try to come in and try this again. Log out, log back in. So let's talk about the paradigm shift. What does that mean? What's the definition of a paradigm shift? It's really a concept in philosophy of science, and which is introduced and brought into the common lexicon by the American philosopher Thomas Kuhn. And it basically is a fundamental change in the concepts of who we are. So let's give an example. So it says it's a fundamental change in approach or underlying assumptions. Examples of a paradigm shift are movements. So like things move. It's quantum physics, really, is what it is. It's when things are shifting all around you, whether you are in agreement or not. You know, there's several times when we've seen paradigm shifts. We've seen it with regards to consciousness, especially. When there was a time that we moved from slavery to emancipation, paradigm shift. There was a paradigm shift that happened in 2000. We thought the world was coming to an end. With Y2K, there was a paradigm shift that occurred there. Paradigm shifts are occurring in your life. It's just, these are things that shift, things that no longer are relevant in your life, that shift from one space to another. And it absolutely happens for your best and highest good. It's just a matter of if you are on board, if you're in a space of allowance or resistance. And so it's just basically a shift when I see you now. The dominant paradigm under which normal science operates and renders. It's all about the group of ideas. It's that group thought space. It's that group thought space. Shifting in the way that we're thinking, in the way that we're showing up, the way that we're being, the way that we see the world. That's a paradigm shift. Really. I'm just going to be simplistic with it. It's a shift in the way that we're thinking, the way that we're being, the way that we're operating, the way that we see the world. Point blank simple. All right, let's get Ebony here so she can share this wonderful story with us. Ebony, you're on with us.
Good evening.
Good evening to you. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Now,
it's a great day for transformation, you know?
Indeed it is.
Yeah, we were talking about, you noticed a shift. You had some activities that occurred this past weekend with your acts of service. And you talked about how what it created for you, what you experienced out of it.
Yes. So this past weekend, a group that I have with a few friends, we went out to service the homeless community and provide them with toiletries and food. And upon going out there, because this is the very first time, we had no idea what we were going to be faced with or what we would be met with. It was amazing. The gratitude of the people was just astounding. And coming away from that, I felt it was addictive. And that's the word I use, addictive.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to help people, service people, is just a great feeling. And as I thought about it, telling everybody how I felt from it, I started to feel guilty when I started thinking about it. Because I felt that the addictiveness that I expressed was selfish. Because it was about me. And I realized that event was not about me. It was about them.
Wonderful. Wonderful. How so?
I'm sorry, say that again.
You said it wasn't about you, it was about them. Why couldn't it have been both?
I just felt it wasn't really about me. It wasn't me. I was out there to provide for them, to make a change in their, even if it's just for a moment, a minute change in their day.
Right. So what did you receive anything from that space?
I did. It was joyful.
Mhm.
And to be able to witness this one lady out there basically praise dancing because she had not had the opportunity to brush her teeth, have her mouth cleaned in so long. It pierced my soul, with sadness, because none of us should have to live that way. But it also overjoyed me to be able to see her receive the benefits of what were provided for her, and thoroughly enjoy it. I didn't want any recognition, and that's why I struggled with the whole feeling guilty about saying that it was addictive, in a selfish sense, because I'm not a person who likes to be in the front of things. If I'm doing something for someone, I don't want the recognition. I don't want people to know that I did it for them, because in a sense it really wasn't me who was doing it. God made a way for me to be able to provide for them.
Absolutely. One of the things you said a magic word, and it goes into what our conversation about pertaining to the levels of consciousness. And that word was simply selfish.
Mm-hmm.
And that word has really been has created a very negative underlying message, has attached itself to a negative underlying message, even though it has some duality to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you really just break down the word selfish, it really means taking care of oneself. And the reality is, whose responsibility more than you is it to take care of yourself? Yet, when I say there's a duality in it, the duality is this: you can be selfish in a lower vibrational space, in a lower space of consciousness, because you want to get something out of it. You intentionally do it to get something out of it, right? I'm intentionally doing this so I can get recognition. I'm intentionally doing this so that I can receive something in return, right?
That particular instance, no, that was not for me.
Which means that you weren't doing it from a space of ego. And when I hear you say that you didn't want to take, you didn't want it to be about you, what I'm hearing you say is you didn't want it to be an ego based experience.
Absolutely. No, I did not.
And so anything that is not an ego based experience means that it is a God centered experience. And so you can be selfish in that space because as you give, you shall receive.
Hmm.
But you're not giving from a space of the need to receive something. You're giving from the space of just being a giver.
Right.
But in return, it's like a boomerang. What you put out comes back.
I got you.
And so one of the things that I've been cautioned with and that I caution others about is not taking ownership or accountability for your experience, for your participation. Yes, it is the energy and essence of God, which you are in alignment with because you are an extension reflection thereof, right?
Right.
So you can also take credit. You can also give yourself some appreciation for agreeing to participate, for being in alignment with God's will.
Never looked at it like that.
And so the reason we don't look at it like that is because we live in a society that tells us that we can't. It tells us that we are separate from the will. And the only thing that is truly separate from the will is ego. Because the acronym of ego, EGO, says we are edging God out.
Mm.
So each of the individuals, and this is what I tell people about relationships, if we can begin to change our perspective, shift our perspective on relationships, we would experience less trauma. This goes into the paradigm shift. If you begin to see relationships as helping you, supporting you, as being an extension and reflection of you, showing you the things that you enjoy, the things that you don't necessarily enjoy, meaning that space of contrast, that would allow you to be able to grow and become greater, become more, become the best and highest version of yourself.
Mm.
For instance, if you see something in someone that you do not like, right?
Mm.
And if you say, instead of me pointing the finger at them, I look and see, why is it that I don't like that? What's going on inside of me that caused me to be repulsed by this? It caused me to feel uncomfortable with this. And if you do that work internally and say, oh, let me fix that. If you look at that as simply being a reflection of something that you didn't see before, and you begin to make that shift now, are you not in a better space than you were previously?
Yeah, you would be.
Does it not support you in your growth and evolution?
Yes, it does.
It's in your best and highest good. It's in your best and highest good. Is there anything else you want to share with us? I'm not rushing you. You can stay on the line.
Oh
I'm just going to move.
no, no, not at this time. I'll still have you on. I can just mute myself because I have to go pick my daughter up. So
Yeah,
yeah, I didn't want to have y'all hearing all this background noise. So
you're fine. You're
yeah.
fine. And feel free to chime in anytime you want to.
All right, I will. I'll just mute myself and stay in then.
All right, fantastic.
All
Thank
right,
you,
thank
Ebony.
you. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Let's talk about let's talk about these levels of consciousness. We can talk about 7 different levels. The first level, which many of us can identify with, 7 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. Many of us can identify with this. As a matter of fact, I think Destiny Child wrote a song about this. If I've thought about it, I would have did a little clip and played it. Said, I'm a survivor. Level 1. Put a 1 in the chat if you know about what it feels like to be a survivor. Because the first level of consciousness is survival. You're just surviving. You're just surviving. Now, what does that mean? It simply means that there is, uh, let's talk about some positive attributes of survival. Some positive attributes of survival are health, physical fitness, nutrition, financial stability. Those are survival. Some negative attributes of survival would be potentially limiting. Let's talk about the potentially limiting. Let's only call them negative. Say potentially limiting attributes or values of survival are control. You have this need to be in control. You have this need or space of manipulation or greed or caution because you're constantly on go. You're constantly trying to protect yourself to make sure that you're not hurt. You're constantly trying to figure out a way out to move beyond and above the experiences that you feel like you're surviving for. You take the perspective that things are trying to hurt you, harm you. When the reality is, if you could take that idea of survival and move it and shifted to a space of elevation or graduation, then you feel a sense of accomplishment. If you can feel it, if that correlates for you, put a one in the chat. That if you could take the idea of survival and look at it differently, change your perspective of it to a space of elevation and or graduation from the thing that you came through, from the thing you graduated from what you overcame. Because I guarantee you, if you can move your mindset from a space of victimization into becoming victorious, then you can see the value that existed in the experience, the circumstance, and situation that you feel like you have survived. So that's survival. Now, let me ask you, being in a consummate state of survival, does it give you a sense of freedom? Does it give you a sense of freedom? As a matter of fact, you know what? I'm gonna drop the link down here again. I'm gonna get the opportunity for, as we're having this conversation, for people to be able to engage in it real time. There it goes. You don't have to show your face, you're fine.
Ask that question again, please.
Being in the space of survival, does it give you the feeling of freedom?
I think not. Not for me.
Does it make you feel limitless or limited?
I'm gonna have to think about that. Because when I think about survival, it's more so of something that you have to do.
Right. Like
I
there's
don't
not
feel
really many choices, right?
right. I don't feel freedom in that. I don't feel choice in that. It's something that had to be done.
So I wonder if, with that being the case, why is it that so many of us subscribe to the idea of survival? Why do so many of us celebrate survival?
I think that because there are obstacles, survival is not easy. It's not something that everyone can do. Excuse me. So let's just say, had a conversation, with this elderly lady, and she trying to assist her with, setting up her login to be able to log onto the website for the healthcare. And she said that that's beyond her, that she doesn't know how to use a computer and so on, so on, so on. And she said, yeah, all these young people, they're not going to know how to survive. One day we're going to have to revert back to the old ways of doing things. And that's what she said. So she mentioned the word survive. And I thought about what she said. If everything shut down, no, a lot of the the younger generation would not know how to carry out certain things. But those who have lived through would be able to survive.
But I have a word replacement. I think the word survival is an easy word. Survive is an easy word. But I think what the word that we really need to replace in that space is they won't be able to thrive. Think about that. There's a difference in that, right?
There's a big difference, yeah.
Because they'll be able to survive. They'll figure it out. It's bare minimum. They'll figure it, the bare minimum out. But will they be able to thrive in that space? Yeah. Like even if we use reverse osmosis in that space. We use reverse osmosis in that space and say, is she surviving in this age of technology? Or is she thriving in this age of technology?
She is surviving.
Right. So the ultimate goal is that we all desire to thrive.
Right.
It's just a matter of how do we position ourselves to do so. Shaman Tamika's I see you came into the room. Would you like to what would you like to add to the conversation?
Sure. How you all doing?
We're great. We're great.
Good, good, good. I think that we have been so accustomed to survival mode that the thought of being in alignment with our abundance is fear facting. Does that make sense?
The fact of being in survivor mode is what you're saying is based upon fear.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes
I,
sense.
I think it's a fear thing because um I'm sure at some point in time that we were created to work together, to commune together, as they call it back in the day, the bartering system. But today, because everything is, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this to survive. And being in that survival mode, we just can't see or hear that we are already in abundance and that our needs will be met if we just trust in in our divine source and who we are.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I agree with you too. I think that no, it is evident that
Yeah.
we aren't aware of who we really are,
Right.
whose we really are. We
Mm-hmm.
aren't aware of our heritage. We aren't aware that miracles are already entitled to us. It's not something that we must do. We aren't aware. We're spending so much time trying to figure out who we are instead
Mm-hmm.
of utilizing that same space of being who we are.
Right. I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah. And so, with that being the case, it's like you said something about you know knowing that the opportunities will be provided to you or the support will be provided to you. I'll push back and say that the support and the opportunities have always been present. We just haven't been aware of them
Right.
because we're focused on surviving. We're focusing on our grievances, which embellish our survival, which create the space for us the need to survive. I want to read something real quick about
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
It says, to survive, we need clean air, water, and wholesome food to keep our bodies fit, healthy, and fit. And we need to feel financially secure. How you deal with survival situations as an adult depends on the conditioning you receive as a baby. If you have
Mm-hmm.
difficulties getting your survival needs met, your parents ignored you when you cried, or you felt abandoned, you'll be very cautious as an adult. You may also become a micromanager because you feel that you cannot trust other people to take care of your needs.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whenever you have anything that feels like a survival challenge, your fear based, which is what you just stated, limiting beliefs from childhood will be triggered. You may become anxious and emotionally upset. Your anxiety will come from the limiting belief that you will not be able to control your environment to get your needs met. Man, that sounds like many of us when it comes down to our to who we are in our relationship with the creator, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
really
think
does.
it's like I think it's like you know how you asking the creator for something? Like like if we go in a time of sorrow or worry or the case and we're asking for something, but it's like, okay, I'm asking, but you taking too long.
Mm,
And so the oh God, you taking too long. Like I need it right now, but you taking too long. And I look at the fact that because we are so impatiently waiting for the right time that it's supposed to come, that we're not acknowledging the prayer that we just asked. Like we just asked, but
you're having some break.
was
Your phone is breaking up somehow.
okay. Can you hear me now?
We hear you. It's just there's a staticky noise in the background.
Oh, okay. What about now?
Still there.
I don't have anything open.
Yeah, it's just a staticky noise of some sort. All right, try now.
Okay, is that better?
Nope, it's still there. You may have to try.
Oh.
You may have to log out, come back in. Let's try this again.
Okay.
Let's give her a moment to come back in. Um, but yes, so that's like many of us when we find ourselves trying to control our situation, trying to control our outcomes, trying to control our experiences, attempting to control everything that happens around us. And then we find out that we have amassed so much stress and tension upon ourselves. And we begin to wear it. We see it in our weight gains, we see it in our health, we see it in the distancing that we create in our relationships, the challenges that we create around us. And all we have to simply do is just let go and say, you know what? God, you're in control. You're in control. I'm gonna trust you. Guide me. Um, and so um, I'm sorry, I have another contributor who wants to come in. Give me a moment. But yeah, so and there's some things that are gonna be triggering to us. But the question is like, do we? Again, it goes back to the idea. It goes back to welcome back, Tamika's. It goes back to the idea. It goes back to uh, how is that working out for you? Like really, how's that working out for you to have the need to be in control, to try to manipulate situations?
Mm-hmm.
And as you said to me, because I loved what you said that we're impatiently waiting. We've grown impatient, and what we don't realize is that it's like I asked this question yesterday. Ebony's going to laugh because we talked about this. If I give you the test, if I say we have a test, right? But I give you all the answers and I say, I want you to use the answers on this test. I want you to use the answers on this test. What are you going to do? When it's time to take that test, what are you going to do?
Go ahead and give them the full scenario, the options. They can use your answers or they can what?
Okay, you can use your answers, or you can trust yourself that you already know the answers and that you can do without the answers.
I would
Like
say trust myself.
you trust yourself?
I would say trust myself to know the answers because.
How about you, chat? What would you do? Go ahead, because I'm listening.
Oh no, I was just saying.
Because
I would say because if you're giving it to me, I can't learn that way. I can't. The whole object of taking the test is like I've used everything I've read, I've studied, and so here's the final test to trust what I know within myself, what that answer is. And a lot of times we find the answers in the question.
so let me ask you a question. Why is it that we have to be so complex? I'm going to state the scenario again and see if you answer the same. I have a test, and I'm telling you, I want you to use this test to answer. I'm giving you the questions to this test and the answers. And it's an open book, and I want you to use the answers for this test.
Oh, okay.
Are you going to use the answers, or are you going to trust that you're going to trust that you know the answers and you don't need my help?
I mean, if you're giving it to me, you're helping me. So I'm going to take the help.
Nah, your first answer was you don't trust yourself.
I'm gonna tell you what I told him.
I guess because I had to hear it again.
What did you tell me, Ebony?
I told you I'm gonna look it up myself.
Right.
Look it up, yeah.
And that's exactly what we do with the creator. He said, I got all the answers. Just, hey, use me as your lifeline.
Yeah, so
I'm the cheat code. Use me.
Right. So as you said it the second time, I said, okay, well, shoot, I'm taking advantage of the help there because I guess when you said it the first time, I didn't hear what you said at the beginning.
Yeah, you were listening from a space of ego.
No, I didn't hear what you. I just heard give the answers, the test.
Yeah.
I was just hearing all of that. So I was like, wait a second, I don't want you to give me nothing. But I said, wait a second.
Wait a minute, you don't want me to do what?
I said, wait a second. I don't. What you mean?
I don't
So
want
I
you to
had
do
to.
what?
I I said I don't want you to give me the answers,
Oh, okay.
but I had to realize what you said. The
So is
same.
that not ego?
It is ego, but I heard it when you said it the first time. I didn't catch all of it, so I caught the end of it. So I was like, why would I want to cheat? I could just whatever.
Oh,
But then but then when you said it again, I said, oh no, you're helping me, so I'm going to take the help.
and that's
I,
exactly what God is.
Right,
The help.
right. We're being given all of the help.
Matter of fact, God said, I'll take the test for you. What you doing?
Right, exactly.
He's like, no, you can't do that. I have to do it myself.
Mm.
And he says, oh, okay. Well, do it yourself. Yeah, that works for you.
yeah, he
You're
got me
right.
with it last night because I said I'm gonna look him up myself because I don't trust.
Huh?
Hmm.
Is that right?
And
Yeah.
that's the thing. These questions have to be asked so that we can see ourselves, so that we can adjust our behaviors. We can adjust our level of consciousness.
Correct.
Speaking of levels of consciousness, let's move to the next one. Level two, relationship consciousness.
Mm.
Now, the second level of relation is personal consciousness is all about safety.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, to feel safe, we need to feel loved and protected. We need to feel a sense of belonging, and how you deal with relationships situations as an adult depends on the conditioning you received as a child. Keep in mind, I do a lot of this work, and I do something called childhood regression work.
Yes.
And the reality is, what we don't understand is most of our traumas, most the way that we respond as an adult begins with the traumas that we experience as a child. So you could be 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, but if you haven't healed from your trauma, if you go back to the age of your trauma, you are responding to circumstances and situations, life challenges, life choices from that age, not from
Mm-hmm.
your current age, not from your current experience, not from your current wisdom. And so uh, it's important for us to be able to understand that in order for us to truly be access to the information and the wisdom that we desire, we have to be able to heal from our traumas that always begin at a child age, whether it's a teenager or before.
Mm-hmm.
And so in these relationships, you will become suspicious of others as an adult. And also, if you didn't feel loved, you may appear needy or wanted to be liked. If you didn't feel love, you may appear needy and wanted to be liked. Whenever you feel you don't belong or don't feel loved or cared for as an adult, your fear-based limiting beliefs from childhood will be triggered and you will become anxious and emotionally upset. And if, on the other hand, if you felt unconditionally loved as a child and always felt safe and protected, you'll be able to take care of yourself and needs later on in life. So, relationships, relationships, consciousness. Can anybody identify with that?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, understanding that, so tell me the thing that hit you the most, that bunged you on the head when you heard that? Anyone?
About the.
About relationship consciousness and the and how you may show up in relationships and what relationship consciousness means that you want to feel safe, you need to feel protected and loved, so on and so forth. Do you feel loved and protected now?
Yes.
Ebony, do you feel loved and protected? Chat, do you feel loved and protected now?
Give me a second because it was breaking up. You asked, "Do I feel loved and protected?"
Currently, yes.
Oh, in a relationship, are you talking about with a mate?
No, I'm speaking in relational experience in general.
Okay, this is going to be hard because I'm driving and it's not coming through clearly. Could you repeat that again for me, please?
I'm speaking from a general space. Do you feel loved and protected in a general space?
Let me think on that,
Okay.
please.
Because when you go to bed at night, do you feel loved and protected? Do you wake up in the morning feeling loved and protected? Are you feeling provided for? Are you feeling the things that are encompassed by love?
Oh, no. No, I don't.
And so, in order to fix that, we have to go to the root of it. And the root of it, it's probably started in some childhood trauma. We won't get into that right now because we don't want to. It can be deep, unless you want to share.
Oh, I know exactly where it began. That's something that I thought I had healed from, but when things happen in your life and some things resurface and you realize you're not healed.
Hmm.
And my trauma came from the relationship with my mother,
Hmm.
or the lack of
Hmm.
um,
You know what age?
the
What age?
physical. Ooh, as early as I can remember, like 7,
Okay,
the physical and the verbal abuse.
right.
So,
Now, so when someone is verbally aggressive to you, does it trigger you?
I shut down
Mm. Do you know why you shut down?
because I don't want to deal with it.
Do you know who doesn't want to deal with it?
That little girl inside of me.
Your 7 year old self.
Hmm.
So you have to ask yourself the question: do you want your 7 year old self to make decisions for you at your current age?
Oh no.
So we have to free your 7 year old self from being that space. And I know people say, well, this is, you already said that you did your work, you were doing your work for forgiveness, but there's another component that needs to happen in the space of forgiveness. You ready for it?
Hmm.
It's called changing the narrative. Changing the narrative. I too had some childhood trauma regarding both of my parents, but specifically my father. And it wasn't until I began to change the narrative that I no longer was triggered. Tamikas, do you have anything you would like to contribute to that?
Yes. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for assisting me with my childhood trauma. I didn't realize what that was when I was sitting in front of my teen-year-old self. The memories of what I experienced as a child, and then realized that I was making those decisions in my adult self until you put that out. So, as a child, being the being the oldest of brothers, if I felt like I didn't get the opportunity to be a child, and I was always a mother before I was a mother to my own children. So the thought of one day, right, wanting to do what I wanted to do, um, was shunned upon. I mean, like, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that, and I just felt like I was just so deprived of wanting to be a child and not being in that space to do so. So I understand about relationships and how some of those things can trigger over into relationships, and not just with your partner, but people that you encounter on a daily basis, and how you respond to certain things, and those things tend to trigger what happened to you when you were younger.
Absolutely. And it also contributes to, like you said, it contributes to your relationship and how you respond in relationships,
Mm-hmm.
and what type of relationships you're looking for or you attract.
Correct.
You know, if you're moving from that 7 year old space that wants to be saved, or that 13-year old space that wants to be saved, who feels like they need to be coddled or feel like they need to be validated, then that's what you're going to look for in your relationships.
Right.
And then you have to ask yourself, if you were in a relationship with someone, would you want them to have that, to bear that responsibility of having to validate you every moment?
Well, I think that, well, this is my honest opinion. I mean, if we know what we know today, is that I think that it's important to get counseling before you enter a relationship with anyone, because it depends on, they might have some traumas and triggers too.
Yes, both sides. And
Mm-hmm.
then now you're leaning on each other
Mm-hmm.
to heal each other.
To heal each other.
That's where that whole concept of coming, oh, this with 50-50, you bring 50 and I bring 50 and we're good.
No, everybody has to be 100. It has to be the whole pie.
Well, why not 80-20? You know, you just, if they have 80% of what I'm looking for, I can deal without, I can live without the 20%.
No, because the 20% is still empty. There's still some voidance there. There's still some, no. That 20% could, that 20% of whatever that is, could overrule that 80.
Absolutely, certainly. Yes, Ebony.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I agree. That's why I'm single. That is why I'm single. I have to
Yep.
work out. I have to work on me. I have to
Right.
get me to a healthy space before I could even enter a relationship and have the expectations of it being healthy.
Right.
Exactly. And once you do, as a matter of fact, I challenged my sister. I don't know if she's listening, but I challenged her today.
Hmm.
And you're not gonna know what sister it is because I have 9 of them. So mind your business.
I can't.
But I challenged her. I said, instead of you seeking for a mate, a partner,
Hmm.
a spouse, allow yourself to align with the one who best supports you where you are, the one who is a reflection extension of you. You don't have to go searching for it. Just allow yourself to align with it.
Correct.
Then you will be able to realize a more healthier experience than if you go out looking for something. Because realistically, you're not meant to hunt in the first place. And a lot of times when you're hunting from a space of, you have this list that you want to fulfill, and that list may not be what it is that you really, what best represents you in this moment.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's absolutely important to do your work. But at the same time, don't always just shut yourself down. Allow yourself to engage with others so that you can use that as a barometer of where you are. Because if you're stuck in your bubble, you really don't have an understanding of where you are. It's hard to see your growth. But if you're relating to others and you get to see others and how they show up, that gives you the opportunity to experience yourself or to view yourself from a non-biased space.
Hmm.
Well, I know
Anybody
I
have
need a lot
anything
of
else?
work. I like my bubble. I ain't gonna lie. It's peaceful here.
Look, I love my peaceful. Peace is important for me.
I totally agree. I do not like the chaos. I will do anything and everything I can to avoid chaos. I love peace.
But a lot of us, we survive. Some of even thrive and control chaos.
Hmm. It's like they have to have that. I grew up in a family that, my father's side of the family, where they had to keep some kind of chaos going. It's like if everything was quiet and peaceful, you know something wrong. You just know something is wrong. And you know that something's about to, as they say, to pop off because it's too quiet. It's too quiet. Like for instance, we was at my grandfather's house one time, and I said, "Oh, I'm so thankful that everyone is quiet. We all are laughing and talking." I said, "Nothing's going on." And the minute I said that, you just saw a bottle throw. It was over.
Wow.
Oh my.
All right, so
That's
let's talk about the positive values of the relationship, the level two level of consciousness, which is relationship.
okay.
The stage of development for that is the conforming stage. Conforming stage.
Mm,
The positive value of that is safety, family, friendship, belonging, and harmony.
mm-hmm,
Right. Then now the potentially limiting values or attributes of it are being liked, people pleasing,
mm-hmm,
blame,
mm-hmm,
jealousy, and revenge.
mm-hmm.
Mm.
So if you see yourself in any one of those, I say seek help because that's not where you want to live.
Past tense, I was like that. I
I was
was,
I was someone
Right.
who was a people pleaser. I definitely will say that.
yeah, I was a people pleaser as well.
I don't know if I really blamed anyone. I used to take responsibility for myself. I would blame myself to make other people feel comfortable. So
I can do.
I would choose to be the bad guy, the villain, just so that other people wouldn't have to be.
I didn't experience that. That's not my experience.
Yeah, I didn't
I
do
The
would go out of
jealousy.
my
blaming.
Or
way.
I didn't do the
I
blaming thing.
just like your way, Ebony.
No, I just go above and beyond. To I would give you my last, knowing it would put me in a certain predicament, just so that you would be okay.
Okay, now
Um,
Ebony,
I
I agree. I was that way as well.
Hmm.
hmm
People pleasing.
I yeah, I was a people pleaser, but when I realized that I was the one always dealing with the hurt, I stopped
Mm-hmm.
that.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It took me a while to get there,
Hmm.
but I stopped that. And I will not be honest. I'm not like that with everyone. I'm like that with my children. I'm
Mm.
still that way with my kids. So, be it good or bad, and I haven't figured it out yet, I'm still that way with them. I will
Mm-hmm.
inconvenience myself so that they are okay and are happy.
How's that working out for you?
Mm, it's frustrating sometimes,
It's frustrating
but
all the time to me.
well, I just, I have the three kids. My son doesn't live here. He doesn't bother me about anything.
Hmm.
My older daughter, and it's not really a bother because I, I, I reared my children without a lot of help,
Hmm.
and just and I'm sorry, you say your name. How do you say your name, ma'am?
Oh, Shaman Tamika's?
Shaman Tamikas. Okay, just like you, I had to basically raise my brother. I'm 7 years older than my brother. That's when a lot of my trauma started. And
Mm-hmm.
my mom worked overnight. So I was always the one who had to take care of him. And I went from being a parent to my brother to having my first child at the age of 19. And I am 49 years old, and my youngest one is now 17.
Mm-hmm.
So I've spent my entire adult life raising my kids. And if you ask me, what do you like to do? I don't know.
I don't know.
Who are you? I don't know.
A
Because the
mom.
person that,
Mm-hmm.
right. And I always tell my daughter, I don't want that for you. Still
Right.
keep a sense of who you are. If You want to go on this trip, and I'm thankful that she's not one of this young people that's out there in the streets up to no good. She the trips that she want to take are like she went over to Israel, with the church. She
Nice.
does a lot of trips with the church.
Hmm.
I want her to be able to get out and go and experience life and do things.
Hmm.
So bring the baby to me. I'll keep her. Sometimes she'll just say, "Hey, mom, I want to go out with my friends," but she lets me know in advance. But I will, for the sake of her being able to not be me at the age of 49 and not know who she is, I will put off what I have to do. I will inconvenience myself so that she will have that opportunity.
Mm.
Okay, I have a question for
So,
you.
hmm
At the sake of you not being you at the age of 49, how are you going to be different?
I have no idea.
Because you do realize that you're being that 7-year-old who's raising your brother at 49.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
mm,
And I can speak to that because at the age of 13, I'm the oldest of 11 children, but 10 of my mother and father had 10 children together.
mm-hmm,
I always was responsible for my siblings. That's part of being the eldest. However, at the same time, at the age of 13, my father and mother divorced, and I became the man of the house. So now I was helping my mother raise my siblings. That's all that I knew. Let me tell you how that affected me, though. Like you, I didn't have my son at 19, I had him at 20, my first child. But the only relationships that I was interested in were ones that who had children. I felt like they were more responsible. They had more on the line. They can understand and relate. I could relate to them better because I didn't know what it meant to be not raised children. So that adversely affected the type of relationships that I would attract and that I would agree to be in. I didn't get the chance to really experience what single life was. Even when I was in the military, now I had fun now. But I was involved with a woman, engaged to a woman who had a child who ended up having my son. I was making decisions as a 13-year-old in my 20s,
Mm.
in my 30s, and darn near my 40s. And it wasn't until I had a conversation with my 13-year-old self and I listened to him and I took that responsibility away from him and gave him the ability to go and be a child, that I was able to make better decisions with relationships, able to enjoy just a little bit of what it meant to be single. But I already had kids. So I still didn't have the freedom that I would like to have. But now, as a father of four, two adults, two teenagers, I realize I allow them to have their experiences while at the same time having my own. I don't allow their experiences to convolute or dismiss or minimize my own. But that came by way of me doing my childhood regression work. So we can go deeper into that, but let's move on to the next point. Level 3, which is the stage of which is differentiating. The stage of development is differentiating. Level 3 of the third level of consciousness is self-esteem. Now, the positive values of self-esteem are security, recognition,
Mm.
positive self-image, self-esteem, confidence. The potentially limiting values are arrogance, pride, conceit, superiority, discriminations. Now, let's have a conversation about self-esteem real quick. Let me read this. The third level of personal consciousness is about feeling secure in your community. To feel secure, we need to feel accepted and respected by our peers and recognized by those in positions of authority. How you deal with self-esteem challenges as an adult depends on the conditioning you received as a teenager. If you had difficulty getting your security needs met during the differentiating stage of development, you will lack confidence as an adult. Ooh, this is good for us parents. When you don't feel good enough, you, your fear-based limiting beliefs from your teenage years will be triggered, and you may become anxious and emotionally upset. If, on the other hand, you were acknowledged and recognized for who you were as a teenager, if you always felt accepted and had a good relationship with your parents, peers, and authority figures, you will be able to handle your security needs later on in life. Now, I'm sure there's a consensus that as parents, we want our children to grow up and need us less. Am I correct? Chat, put a one in the room if you agree with that statement. We want our children to grow up to be independent and less and more self-reliant, less dependent upon us. Ebony, Simon Tamika, do you agree or disagree with that? I see I got a one over here. Okay, Ebony said one. She agrees.
Yeah, I agree.
Simon Tamika, how do you feel? What do you say about that?
I agree.
Okay. Well, it's important too because the reality is now we have to ask ourselves, man, did we receive that as children? What are your levels of self-esteem?
Oh man, my self-esteem is a 10, always 100.
Well, did you feel validated as a kid?
I did. I think most of that came from my grandmother. Um, I think the way that self-esteem was introduced to me was my mother used to always say, "When I leave out the house, you leave out the house as I leave out the house," which means my mother took pride in how she felt within herself. My mother used always wore pretty things, and she always kept her hair beautiful. Uh, Everything about her was just beautiful. Her hair, her clothing, um, everything about her. So she says, as a young woman, you always want to feel good about yourself, and not just in your appearance, um, but as well as your clothing, like your hair. You know, never leave out the house. How she say? Never always leave out of the house as if you're going on a stage. You never know who you might meet or who you might see. And presentation was everything.
Absolutely. Now, that's great information. That's great advice. I always tell people that you dress for the position you want, not for the one that you have. You present yourself in the way that you desire to be seen, not for who you are.
Yes.
There's a comment, there's a statement that I love. People always compliment me. I say, you know what? I'm so glad that you can't that I don't look like what I've been through.
Exactly.
But at the same token, there's people out there who put it on now.
Oh yeah, they put it on there. They
They,
like to
they put it
shine.
on, but they are dead inside.
Very dead.
They are the least self-confident people
Mm-hmm.
that you know
Mm-hmm.
because they're covering up, they're masking.
Right.
Ebony.
Oh no, I agree.
And so we have to differentiate the masking from the authentic appreciation and the growth of who we are. Um, and so That's great information that your mother provided you, but we have to also understand that self-esteem doesn't really come. It's not an outside-in experience; it's an
It's the
inside-out
inside out.
experience.
It's the inside out.
I didn't have a lot of self-esteem growing up because I didn't feel heard, I didn't feel seen, and I didn't feel wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Those experiences happened for me outside of the house, not
Mm-hmm.
inside the house.
Mm-hmm.
And so for my children, I create the space for them to be able to be heard,
Mm-hmm.
to be seen,
Mm-hmm.
and to know that they're wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it gets frustrating sometimes because they make decisions that I don't necessarily agree with. But I understand too that that's part of their growth.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Part of their growth. So did you, Miss Ebony, who has childhood trauma beginning at the age of 7, did you feel heard, seen, and wanted?
Oh, heard? Absolutely not. But oh, absolutely not. But I don't think that I had self-esteem issues.
Hmm.
I too, and I think it's just the era that we grew up in. My mom was also a stickler for appearance.
Mm-hmm.
And when we went outside that home, I don't care if we were just going outside to play. Between my mother and my grandmother, my hair was always done.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Um, my clothes were always clean. Um, so yes, now I will say we didn't have a lot of money at all. We were poor, but I didn't know we were poor.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just like today, my mother takes pride in letting you know that
Uh-oh.
the outfit that you just complimented her on, she's done had it for about 15 years.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
So,
Oh, this old
yeah,
thing.
so, yeah, but no, but that's the kind of pride that she had, and she passed that along.
Hmm.
Now, when I leave outside the house to go somewhere, now, yes, I will put myself together. I will be decent.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
inside, baby,
But do you
yeah,
realize? Let me ask you, ladies, because this is something that we see on an everyday basis.
mhm.
What do you think about these young ladies who are out here wearing clothing that, well, really, is it clothing? Because they don't have a lot of cloth on. And what do you think about that? Is that something that um, is pro esteem? Because they'll say that, oh, we feel good about ourselves, so we put it on so that we feel good about ourselves. We have the freedom to do this, right? But what is your perception of that?
Most of that is, I think, is they're seeking attention.
Hmm.
The way that the society is set up these days, with this generation, is that it's like you said about masking, because they're not getting what they're desiring to get from the home. They're seeking it outside of the home, and called being what's called in the in crowd, and doing what everybody else is doing to be accepted.
Hmm.
Um, that's what I think it is these days. I think it's mostly like there's nothing wrong with being comfortable with certain things that you in, but you know that you couldn't wear that when you left the house though. Like you looked at yourself in the mirror and said, "This don't fit, but I'm putting it on anyway." So it's an intention thing when you put it on. What is it that you're gonna receive once you hit that door?
Yeah, what's the objective?
What's the objective? Yeah, it's about the objective, because my mom used to always say, "Don't ever wear red lipstick, because red lipstick is a representation for prostitutes."
Mm.
Like that the only people that could wear red lipstick were prostitutes.
Well, there was a time that was the
Yeah.
the group thought.
Yeah. If it
Yeah.
wasn't red lipstick, it was fuchsia. But I just believe that it was. I think it's right now. It's a social thing about being confident. But think about this: if they are really confident, then why would they put on lace front wigs and long eyelashes um that natural beauty. To me, self-esteem is all about how you look within yourself too.
It begins with inside. It begins inside.
Hmm.
It begins with self. Let me ask you this, and let me preface it with this,
Okay.
ladies. I am an ally. I am a girl dad. I am most of my siblings are girls. I have 9 sisters and just 2 boys. Most of my friends, my greatest friends, are females. My greatest heroes and the women that I look up to, there's one of them in this chat right now, are women. So I'm gonna ask this question since I'm setting that up. I've already set the stage to qualify myself. So you won't think I'm a hater or a basher. I'm not that. When we are putting the lace front weaves on, the tons of makeup, is it potentially could it potentially appear that we're hiding something?
Yes.
Ebony?
I kind of sit on the fence with that because I'm not one who wears them.
Hmm.
Um, but my daughters do. Um, and they have a head full of hair.
Yeah. So is it because it's because it's easier to do it, or is it because I want to present myself in a certain way?
For my youngest one, it's because she wants to present herself in a certain way
Mm,
that
Mm.
she doesn't know how to do her natural hair.
right.
Um, so it's easier for her to do, the wig or the braids.
Hmm.
Um, and the same with my older daughter. They they take care of their hair underneath, but they just prefer to put on the hat, as I call
Mm-hmm.
it, as opposed to handling their own hair. Now, I'm not gonna lie, because my hair is natural. It's a piece of work. It is a piece of work. But I don't think that
Mine too, girl.
everyone,
Mine too. It's a piece of work.
I don't think that everyone is trying to mask something.
Hmm.
Um, I do
And I'm
believe
speaking
there
more
are
about the
those
makeup
people.
than I am the hair, though.
Right. It's the makeup thing.
Well,
Because I've seen some things that I'm saying, oh, you a lie.
well,
If
yeah, and
if
I guess I can
if
only, yeah, yeah,
if that ain't
I can
if
only,
if that ain't catfishing, I don't know what that is.
yeah, I can only speak from the experiences that I am close to. But yeah, I do understand and be yourself, you know. And sometimes I'll tell Kennedy, why do you gotta
And know
wear
that that's
makeup?
enough.
Yeah, and she has a mixture of it both. Some days she'll get up and she'll put it on, some days she won't. So I don't think it's a lack of confidence within herself or that she's trying to be someone that she's not.
Right,
I think for her, it's merely just the appearance, the fashion statement.
right, right,
Right.
right. And so as
But
parents,
yeah, a lot of these young ladies do.
oh, they get on and put it on now.
Okay.
They are trapping. They are out here. They have become the
Yep.
hunter,
Mm-hmm.
which
Mm-hmm.
goes back to that whole relationship consciousness. But we'll move on. Level 4, transformation consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
The fourth level of human consciousness is about finding freedom and autonomy. You will want to discover who you are beyond the parental programming. I'll say it again. You'll want to find out who you are beyond the parental programming and the cultural conditioning you received during your formative years. At this stage of development, you will be asking questions such as who am I? What is important to me? Only when you find answers to these questions will you discover your true soul self, fully expressing who you are without fear of what others may think or say particularly your parents, peers, spouse, and the authority figures in your life, gives you the opportunity to make choices that are more in alignment with who you are. The prize that comes with the pursuit of this self understanding and knowledge is the independence and the ability to operate with integrity. When you discover and express who you are, you can remove your ego mask and march to your tune, not to the tune that has been imposed on you by others. Now, if I go and look at this and look at the stage of development for transformation, it's called individuating.
Okay.
Individuating.
Individuating.
Mm.
Mm.
Standing in your own individual space without the need to compromise.
Mm.
All right. And then the positive values of that are freedom, autonomy, accountability, adaptability, courage, and personal growth. There are no potential limiting values for this. None. Because you're standing in your own, you're standing in a space of authenticity. You're standing in a space of authenticity. So, how many of us can say that we are individuating, that we're operating in this transformative consciousness? Put a one in the chat if you're operating in this space, that this is your authentic space. Not because you're doing it just in spite of others, but you're doing it because of being your true self. You know who you are, and you're happy to be who you are, and you're standing in that space unapologetically. I'm putting my one right here. I think Ebony put her one there as well. Oh, that's Tamika's. Tamika's put her one there. Okay, fantastic. Well, that's good to know. We're all moving in that space. Okay, and that's why I do what I do. That's why we do these shows, we do these processes, is because we want to move to that space, this level. But this is only level 4 of 7. So what comes after level 4? It's level 5, internal cohesion consciousness. Internal cohesion consciousness. And it says the fifth level of human consciousness is about finding meaning. Oh, we have background noise. Hold on one second. The fifth level of consciousness, human consciousness, is finding meaning in your life. Finding what your soul came into this world to do. At this level of consciousness, the question is no longer who am I, but why am I here in this body? Oh, I know some people can agree with that. Why am I here in this body? And how can I fully express myself? How can I fully express myself? For those who do not feel a particular sense of purpose, this can be a daunting inquiry. For others who are gifted with a particular talent, your purpose will be obvious. If you are not sure of your purpose, simply focus on what you love to do and pay attention to what is immediately in front of you. Whatever it is, do it to the best of your ability. Alternatively, just follow your joy. Develop most obvious talents and pursue your passion. Many people do not discover their purpose until quite late in life. However, when they look back, they realize that all the twists and turns had a reason: to prepare you for the gift you were born to give, to fully express your true nature. When you find your purpose, it may feel like something small or it may feel like something large. Whatever it is, you need to recognize that it is what your soul came to do. And if you follow the promptings of your soul, you will find a sense of meaning and fulfillment in your life. Your life will become a journey of synchronicity, constantly unfolding in front of you. Be assured, when you commit your energy to your soul purpose, all manner of unexpected events will occur to support you. Your focus on passion and purpose may mean giving up a way of life that brings you comfort, stability, and certainty. Ebony, I need you to hear that piece right there. Your focus on passion and purpose may mean giving up a way of life that brings you comfort, stability, and certainty. It may mean moving locations, giving up friends, or risking your financial stability. In short, it may feel scary, but it is not something you should avoid. You will never be at ease with yourself. I'm going to say that again. You will never be at ease with yourself. You will not find internal stability if you do not follow your passion. If you don't follow the promptings of your soul, you will spend the rest of your life feeling unfulfilled, depressed, or living with regrets. Now, let's go up here and let's look at the stage of development for that. The stage of development is called self-actualizing. Self-actualizing. And the positive values to that are honesty, trust, creativity, integrity, authenticity, meaning, and internal alignment. There's no negatives when it comes to this. There's no potential limiting values when it comes to this space. So now, I can attest to this. This can truly be a scary space. The reason that I am here present in this right now moment, in this present moment, is because I am on this level. And I've realized this level. I'll say this. I've realized this level. Because again, this level is about self-actualization, knowing who you are and being that despite the trials and the tribulations, despite what the appearance of which you may lose, who may no longer be with you, who may no longer be in alignment with you. So, anybody else can identify with this space of self-actualization or the internal cohesion consciousness, the internal cohesion consciousness. If you can identify with this space, if you stand in this space as well, click the number 1. The internal cohesion. Anybody have a comment regarding the internal cohesion? All righty.
No, I just came on to say no, I don't have a comment. I'm still marinating on what you just said.
Well, that's a lot to marinate on, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
But there's freedom in this space. There's freedom. But you have reached a level of self-actualization. I mean, you're truly living your purpose. You're on purpose. You're on purpose.
I can honestly say that who I am today, I love my purpose. I love why I'm here. I say it every day. I love my life. I love my purpose. I love my gifts, and how I utilize it to assist others. And yes, as they say, when you elevate in that, then the people that were around you, they're no longer on that level anymore. Or as someone used to say, doesn't it feel lonely at the top? And I say, no, not really, because when you're up here, you're being realigned with the people that's gonna be up there with you.
Indeed. 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 And like I said, it says, be assured when you commit your energy to your sole purpose, all manner of unexpected events will occur to support you. Hence the reason in the morning at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time throughout the week, and on the weekdays at 8 a.m., we do the Oath of Manifestation. And it talks about the unexpected, aligning with your unexpected money, unexpected love, unexpected passion, unexpected blessings, unexpected miracles, unexpected opportunities, aligning with those things. And that's because you're moving to the space, to the 5th level of consciousness out of 7. Now, what I want to add to this thing too about purpose, And I think Ebony, we talked about this yesterday. About purpose. If you find yourself asking, what is my purpose? You're out of alignment. You're out of alignment. And what I mean by that is this. If you understand that you are a spiritual being having a human experience and that you are an extension and reflection of God, then you are merely a light. Your purpose is to go out and be that extension and reflection in your unique way. There's a unique gift and talent that's been provided to you that would allow you to be the light to the world so that people can see the energy and essence of God through you, that they can experience heaven through you. So people say, well, how do I find my purpose? The best way to find your purpose is simple. Reconnect with God. So let me give this example that Ebony's going to love. So we're on our telephones and we're talking, right? We're engaged in this conversation right now. And you find this conversation highly stimulative, right? Well, matter of fact, let me do this. I'm going to bring the ladies into it. Thank you. You can brought yourselves into it. Thank you. You find this conversation highly stimulative, right? If this conversation gets disconnected, what are you going to do?
I'm going to reconnect.
Tamika's, what are you going to do?
Reconnect.
So if you're going to reconnect, okay, so now we're on the telephone, and the telephone something happens, it drops. What are you going to do?
Call you back.
Reconnect. If you're on your tablet and the internet drops off, what are you going to do?
Do my best to reconnect.
So why is it that we can reconnect to these things and each other, but not to source?
So
That's
I can reconnect.
that's crazy. Why not?
And it's something we just need to ponder upon. How is it that we can reconnect? We'll pick up the phone if it's disconnected. We'll pick up the phone and call somebody and reconnect. If the internet gets disconnected, we'll go back and we'll figure out what the problem is and reconnect to the internet. We may be frantic about it too. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna miss something. I gotta get back on there. If we're watching a show, we'll figure out a way to reconnect. But we won't reconnect to the source of our being.
And that's unfortunate.
And that's where the divide comes. And that's why we struggle. And that's why we miss our blessings. Not because the blessings aren't there. It's because we're not connected.
Correct.
Just marinate and sit on that for a minute.
Preach on. That was a whole message.
Maybe in Pakistan. All right, level 6. Level 6, making a difference consciousness. Making a difference consciousness. I muted everybody again. Making a difference consciousness. The 6th level of human consciousness is about making a difference in the world, in your family, your workplace, in your community or nation, or in our global society. If you are a leader or operating at this level of consciousness, you will realize that your ability to fulfill your purpose is strongly conditioned by your ability to connect with others and facilitate the work of those who support you. Enlightened leaders understand that this is through others, their followers, that they make an impact in the world. The more easily you can connect and empathize with others, the easier it is for you to fulfill your destiny. Whether you are a leader or not, making a difference always implies connecting with others in unconditional, loving relationships. Now let's look at the development stage for making a difference. The stage of development is integrating. So we move from self-actualization to integrating. And the positive attributes are collaboration, empathy, intuition, mentoring, partnering, alliances, making a difference. Hence the reason why I'm here, to integrate with you, to collaborate with you. All right? Ladies, you have anything you want to add to that space, the integration, the making a difference?
And that you are.
Well, thank you. In the final
Yes, you
stages,
are. I'm thankful for that. Thank you.
I'm grateful for you allowing me to partner with you. The last stage of development is serving. The last level of consciousness is service. Service. Ebony's going to appreciate this one. Service. Now, service consciousness, which is the seventh level of human consciousness, is about selfless service to the cause or the work which all allows you to use your gifts and talents, the work you were born to do. You reach this level of consciousness when making a difference becomes a way of life, when you surrender to your soul. When you are now fully endued, in bed with your soul's purpose and living the life of a soul-infused personality. You are at ease with uncertainty and embrace whatever opportunities come your way. You feel as if you are being guided by your soul. At this stage of development, you find yourself needing time for quiet and reflection. You will be seeking the inspiration you need from your soul so that you can live and breathe your purpose every moment of your life. You will know when you are operating from this level of consciousness because there will be nothing else for you to do. You will not want to retire because that would close down your self-expression and take the meaning out of your life. What you previously considered work now becomes your play. At this level of consciousness, you let the doing flow through the being. At this level of consciousness, you let the doing flow through the being. Oh, I teach that, don't I?
Yes, you do. And yes, I do appreciate that. I am working on getting back there 100% to
And it's just a process, it's steps. So if you take the steps that we've shared in this conversation, it would aid you on getting there, meaning that you don't need to just jump from 1 to 7 or 2, 3, 4, 5 to 7, but simply say, okay, well, I'm at a 3 right now, but I can be a 4. This is what it takes for me to be a 4. Let me master 4. You master 4. Let me master 5. You say, well, let me just sit in 5 for a moment. And then when you're ready to master 5, you say, okay, bring on 6. And then you say, bring on 7. It's a process. It's not something, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And we don't need to beat ourselves up if we haven't arrived where we desire to be that quickly. But it gives us a benchmark in order for us to be able to obtain what it is that we desire to be. It gives us the benchmark. So we can go deeper into that, but we're going to switch over now to not paradigms, but because we're already an hour and 44 minutes in. So we're definitely going to shut the stream down in 15 minutes. But I want to move over here to, let's talk about dimensions. This is important because this is also going to give us a baseline of where we are and allow you to really get an understanding so that you can make your choice if this is enough or you desire to experience more. If this is enough or you desire to experience more. All right, so there's levels of consciousness and there's multidimensional realities, right? Now I know you've heard of many of us. Well, how many of us have heard that we live in a third dimensional reality? This may sound familiar to you because you may have seen the movie The Matrix. You may have even heard talk about a fifth dimension. And over the last few years, well, really more than the last few years, but over the last few decades, there's been it's been a common conversation in the spiritual community to talk about terms of living in a multidimensional reality. And this is also referred to as level of consciousness as well. So we're still bridging the gap between what we just discussed to where we are now, right? Just from a more broader perspective. Because once you understand that there are level of consciousness, then it's easier to understand the multidimensional reality. Hence the reason why I went through the level of consciousness in such great detail previously. But I want you to think of dimensions as state of consciousness. And there's another common term that's being tossed around right now. It's called collective consciousness. And this is simply when humans as a whole and the level of consciousness or frequency that the group is radiating. We're radiating or we are moving at the same frequency in the same pace, at the same pace. Yeah, pace is the right word. In the same pace. And it's been stated for years that we're operating in the third dimension. Like, what does that mean? What does it mean to operate in the third dimension? And it's believed that since the planetary alignment on December 21st in 2012, that we have progressively been moving into a fifth dimensional reality. But so we're going to get into these dimensions and explain it so that we can really understand it at a very rudimentary level. And so that you can understand it and be able to determine where you are. Let's begin with the third dimensional reality. And this is best stated as a duality. And this means separation and thinking. Separation and thinking, having the conscious awareness. Like everything is separate. Like you're separate from everything. If we just look at what's going on right now in our existence, I would say under the Obama theory, the Obama time period, we felt like we were growing as a collective consciousness, as a consciousness of people. We were growing and we were moving beyond the things of yesterday, right? And operating in a space that was more of a kumbaya experience, right? And then we have the age of Trump, which we blame for the divisiveness, but it existed before then. It was just quiet. He brought it to the forefront. And so what does that mean to be in a space of third dimension? So along with separation, third dimension is full of our conscious awareness resisting everything. So in the third dimension, it's about resistance. So if you're operating your life in a space of resistance, you're still in the third dimension. If you're operating your life in a space of separation, meaning that one group is better than another, and we have to separate ourselves from everyone and everything, that's third dimensional thinking. The energy of the third dimension is very heavy and very dense. So if you're feeling like somebody's sitting or an elephant is sitting on your chest, you're feeling like you're carrying around a whole backpack of bricks up a mountain, if you feel like just a sense of overwhelm, you're operating in the third dimension. You're operating in the third dimension. And in this third dimension, it's filled with our egos. It's ego-led. And our minds have overcome a true heartfelt emotion because it's the rational thing to do, right? But the third dimension is also ruled by fear. Look at your life, fear. Does fear rule your life? And even to break down the analogy, the acronym of fear, F-E-A-R, does false evidence appearing real? Are you guided and led by illusions? Are you making your decisions based upon illusions instead of facts? Are you telling yourself, don't do that because then this could happen? Or if I do this, there's potential of this happening, instead of allowing yourself to truly live and to be present with your experiences. Um, because the rational part of your mind is telling us over and over again that you don't need to follow, and you can join in the common social things, whether it be home, church, work. Because think about it, a lot of the philosophies that we're carrying right now do not serve you, no longer serve you. And many of you are feeling like, man, you're feeling overwhelmed. You're feeling like you don't have any energy. You feel like there's not enough time in the day, that things are moving too fast. Case in point, let's go back to the time when you were a kid, regardless of how old you are now. Does 24 hours feel the same way that it used to feel? Does it feel like you have the same amount of time in a day that you used to have?
Oh, absolutely not.
And so what's happening is the earth is speeding up, but you're still stuck in the space that is no longer in alignment with the pace of the earth. The earth is operating in one dimension, the universe is operating in one dimension, and you're operating in another. And so there's this resistance that is occurring there. And you wonder why you keep missing out on stuff. It's because you resist the opportunity to be in the flow, to be in a space of allowance. So, does this resonate for anyone? It's just a true assessment. This is not a judgment, because we're going to give you the tools that help you to shift if you desire to. Are you guided by fear? Whether it's fear of loss, fear of lack, fear of disappointment, whatever the illusion is, fear of disease, fear of ailments, fear of poverty, fear of success. Are you guided by any one of those illusions? I'll wait.
No.
You already know my answer. Yes.
And the only reason why I asked this question is because I want us to take an honest assessment. If you are, okay, now, but I'm sure you've asked the question, Ebony and others, who've answered yes to this question. I'm sure you will find that you've asked yourself, how do I change this? I don't want to live this way anymore. I desire better for myself. Right? You've asked that question before, right?
Yes.
And so that's why we're having this conversation, because it gives you the opportunity to know your options. So let's move to the fourth dimensional reality. In the fourth dimension, we're breaking the mode of density and moving into the heart space. Status quo doesn't feel good anymore. And in general, we start to think outside the box. We begin feeling self-love and gratitude, and it takes over our emotions. So we're not all over the place with our emotions anymore. Now we're going inside of ourselves instead of seeking for things outside of ourselves. I'm going to say that again because I may have said it a little too quickly. Now we are going out. Now we're going within ourselves instead of going outside of ourselves for validation and support. We don't want to conform anymore. In the fourth dimension, you're no longer interested in conforming, because feeling authentic is the right thing to do. Living your authentic space, your authentic nature is the right thing to do in this space, and you're not interested in residing to anything else other than that. Now, the fourth dimension is painful because you're amongst great inner change. That means you're doing your work, you're healing, and you're pulling back wounds, you're addressing wounds and pulling off scabs that didn't heal, so that you can get the proper treatment to heal them. You're recognizing that your inner demons, and you're recognizing your inner demons, and working on healing from the inside. Chaos in this is prevalent in this space because now you have a voice and a demand that you move into a more compassionate and loving space for yourself and for all. You begin to see that you're not separate, but you're more alike than different. That's one of the things about One Transformation Center. We believe that we have so much more in common than we do that separates us. And the fourth dimension is living in a state of self-awareness and clearing away negativity while beginning to see love and joy in everyone and everything. That fourth dimension is allowing you to truly be a light and see the light in others, to see God in others. All right, any questions about the fourth dimension?
None at all.
No.
All right, fifth dimensional reality. This is where you want to be. Simply put, it's the space where unconditional love resides. Where the love reside, where the love reside, where the love reside, where the love reside. This is a space where there's no conditions on your love.
Yes.
This is the end of suffering, the end of fear, the end of the ego. The ego does not have any space here. There's no ego anymore. The energy of this dimension is a very high frequency of love, meaning you experience. So let me tell you about this space. In this space, you're no longer looking for love. You're no longer trying to do love. Now you've made the decision to simply be love. So in all your being, you're being love. Being love. So now every expression, every extension of you is love. Every decision you're making it from the base of love. You're allowing love to guide you, allowing love to define you, allowing love to enfold you. I'm not going to sing that song. I'm going to do a little music soul child on you right quick, but I'm not doing it. The energy of this dimension is very high frequency. Hence the reason why it moves very quickly. Very quickly. So think about it. Everybody has done double dutch before, right? We've all done double dutch, and we sit there on the outside and we're moving back and forth like this, right? Moving back and forth, just waiting for our interest to get into the rope. Waiting for our interest to get into the rope. And when we get into that rope, we got to keep up with the pace of it. Yeah, okay. Then we got to get out of it because we don't want to disturb the rope. We want to keep on the rope, keep on moving fluidly. That's the way the fifth dimension is. There's a fluidity that exists in the fifth dimension. There's no judgments and only recognition of oneness, that we all are one. We live in a self-love and unconditional love for others. Our goals are to serve and help others and have compassion for all living things. Our mind is in complete alignment with our heart center or our soul. We are love at the soul level, the level of creation. And the fifth dimension is living the way that our creator meant for us to live. Hence the reason, like for instance, so if you want to be in that space, this is a mantra that you can repeat. God, help me to see. I desire to see as you see, to think as you think, to know what you know, to love as you love, to move as you would move, and to say what you would have, and to say what you would say. That's my desire. And once you move to that space, now you're in alignment with the vibration and the frequency that is existing. And you'll feel the support at a very soul level. The fifth dimension is living the way that our creator meant for us to live. The fifth dimension is what feels like heaven. That's another song. So that Sound of Blackness. It feels like heaven. I don't remember who's on that song. But living in complete alignment with mind, body, and soul is fifth dimensional living. With love, changes our physical body so that it's in radiating at a very high light frequency. Now, this is what happens. If you're not, if the earth and everything thereof, the universe is moving at a fifth dimensional space, and you're not there, then you're feeling your body being affected with illnesses and ailments and dis-ease and stress and turmoil, so on and so forth. But when you are there, when you move into that space, you're in alignment. You don't feel any of that stuff. Your body feels amazing. It feels light. It feels free. And this high level of light frequency triggers and activates all 12 strands of your DNA. So the question I have for you is, can you see now and understand how the levels of consciousness are different dimensions? There's also a higher third dimension, a lower fourth dimension, a higher fourth dimension, and lower fifth dimension. We'll get into that another time. All right? Any questions? Comments?
Comment. I just want to say this has been a great show this evening. These are some great conversations. And have you looking at yourself in a whole different way far as growth concerned, like from when you was younger to where you are now, and how the dimensions kind of make you aware of those consciousness and unconsciously thinking in those spaces. So if you had to ask yourself, where are you and what is your purpose, is really going back to centering yourself, asking for the help, which is source, to be realigned, to catch up, as I call it, catch up, because there are a lot of people that's still suspended in trauma, still suspended in the 3D dimension. And I think it's a matter of a choice of to elevate, to elevate, to go where the earth is shifting.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not on that, as I call it, here it is, in Little Nemo, right? If you ever seen Little Nemo, if you got little kids, you've seen Little Nemo, and he's going through Australia and they're going on the current. And the turtle says, well, dude, if you want to catch up, you got to ride the current. So, and a lot of us miss that current. And the current is here. And due to people like yourself, Sameon, that's on that wave, that's letting the people know this is how you can get started. This is where you can move to get on the current, because the current is here and the shift is happening. And if you as a person desires to elevate and move out of that trauma to grow, right? To replant yourself in rich soil, then we can ride that fifth dimension current together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so it is. Yes. Ebony, you have anything to say? You have anything to comment on? Get ready to close out.
Nothing but gratitude for you and what you're bringing forth. I will say that had I not had a conversation with you last night, um, I would probably be over here in all of my feelings, which, because it's healing that is needed, I'm one of those people who is not there. I'm working to get there. And
You're not
I
weird.
would be more than delighted to full consciousness, you know, not stuck in certain dimensions and not able to move forth.
In the Matrix.
Uh, yeah, Yeah, because we had a conversation last night when when I shared with you about how I feel and
Hmm.
just pretty much laid all me out on the floor for you, you
Yes.
know, and you prayed with me. So that's the space I'm in, and that's the space that I'm trying to move away from. So I'm thankful for you.
And
I'm
I'm grateful
thankful
for
for what
you.
you're bringing.
Thank you. Thank you for being present.
Absolutely.
I'm immensely grateful for everyone who has been present through this presentation, this live stream. And this is why we do it. This is why we're here. You know, it I think it was Tamika that mentioned earlier, Shaman Tamika said earlier that there's this adage that says it's lonely at the top. Only if you don't bring people with you. It's only lonely if you don't bring anyone with you.
Hmm.
And so that's why we set ourselves up to be able to support and be a support to other people so that we don't operate with that crab in the bucket mentality. I asked this question last week to someone. I said, why is it that the crabs continuously pull each other down? Why is it? When they can simply one gets to the top and they can hold on and bring the others up and they can climb on its
Yeah.
back and cross over and help each other to crawl out that bucket.
Hmm.
But the reason they don't do it is because they think from a limited perspective. And they don't want you to get higher than they get.
Hmm.
When the reality is it's freedom for everybody. How
That's
can we
right.
work collaboratively to engage and to embrace that freedom? But we live in a society that has a mindset that there are limitations. When the reality is there is more than enough for everybody, no matter how big your appetite is. And when we begin to embrace that, we begin to understand that is when we begin to really truly experience freedom. When we begin to really align with the best of who we are. We stand in that space of understanding that what is for us is for us. And so, thank you all for being with us today, taking the time to share your moments with us and to invest in your transformation. We'll be back again next week at 8 p.m. Standard Time for our Pacific. Bring somebody with you. If you used to be part of this, please go back and visit One Transformation Center. And if when you come through here, subscribe. It doesn't cost you a thing. Hit that notification bell as well and select all so you see this. You get the notifications when we are streaming and going live. Now, if you like this, and if you desire to raise your consciousness, if you desire to be able to operate in the fifth dimension, to be in the flow instead of being in that space of resistance, join us every weekday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and on the weekends at 8 a.m. for the morning manifestation sessions. We help you to be able to, we give you the tools that you need in order to be able to shift and to become the best version of yourself, to become that reflection, to be the change that you desire to see, truly be that reflection and extension of the master creator. Because you know what's crazy? What's crazy is that we have the opportunity to really be that expression, but we knock others who don't do it the way that we do it for being more of that expression than we are. We have to get past that and realize that the opportunity is there for us as well. That we all can coexist and stand in the space of allowance that grants us the opportunity to have access to heaven on earth and to true abundance and prosperity. So come on, join us. And I promise you, if you just give me 7 days, consistently waking up, 5 of them at 6 a.m. and 2 of them at 8 a.m., I promise your life will change. All right. And then don't forget, on Sundays, we continue our morning Transform My Life stream, where we're focusing on our 13-week series, week 6 of our 13-week series of the Magnanimous Manifestation series. The Magnanimous Manifestation series. We give you the tools to become master manifestors. All right? Talk to you soon. Be great. And remember to be the change you desire to see. Ciao.